Alright, hey, today we want to talk about turning flowering shrubs into single stem trees. This is often done with, the donkeys haven't been in a movie for a while, so we decided to give them a chance to star in this one, so we're going to try. This is often done a lot with hydrangeas. PG hydrangeas, a number of different hydrangeas are often trained into single stem tree form. Normally they grow as a multi-stem shrub. This is also done with rose of Sharon or tree rose of Sharon. I've seen it done with red twig dogwood, wisteria, actually wisteria vines trained upright and then staked to an upright so that the stem gets rigid, and then you have a weeping tree. A lot of stuff that's weeping, like weeping cherry, is grafted, but these things are not grafted. They're simply trained upright. So basically what they do is what I have here, I've got this is a variegated Hydrangeas. It's a flowering shrub. This is probably like a 1-year liner, and you can see there's all kinds of new growth starting at the bottom. Now typically what a grower will do is they'll plant this thing out in the field for one growing season, especially with the hydrangeas, and so they kind of plant something that looks like this in the field, and it's going to make multiple stems. And in 1 year, some of these flowering shrubs will have 2.5 to 3 foot of growth on them. Then they go back through there the next spring and they select one stem that looks like it could be they could get it staked upright to make a nice stem. So this particular plant has a couple little branches here that would have to be trimmed off, and then one of these would have to be eliminated, and then this stem could be trained straight up. Now when you do this, you're not going to get a perfectly straight stem like you do with a tree seedling that is just growing from seed. So you can be in a movie there, buddy. So anyway, this is a pretty good example. So basically you can plant this thing in the field, you can leave it in a pot, and then after the second year you're going to go through and you're going to select the straightest stem, and you're going to keep that stem growing upright. Now having some branches down low for the first year or two isn't a big issue. They actually, with the leaves and photosynthesis and all of that, they actually that helps feed the plant. So you don't want to select everything and remove everything right away. You can have some lower growth down here. You just don't want to let it get real big. Now what I have here in front of me, these are 2 tree hydrangea that I picked up a couple days ago at an auction. And in a lot of ways, these are good examples of what can be done and what can't be done and what should have been done a long time ago. So you can see that this is the single stem that they selected, but where they went wrong is, and probably why they were in the auction, is they allowed growth down here to show up and get big. You should never let anything like this get bigger than a dime, not even close really. Maybe a 1/4 inch. When it hits anywhere near a 1/4 inch, I take it off. And you can look up my 1 finger pruning video. It's on YouTube in Mike's Backyard Nursery, or it's on Mike's Backyard Nursery, but I call it 1 finger pruning, and it's all about just flicking off a bud as soon as it shows up. Like right here, there's a little tiny bud. Ideally, I can flick that off. I want a shrub here, so I'm not going to touch these things for a while. I'm going to let these Hydrangeas flush out, so we're not going to do anything with them until they get some new growth on them. But anyway, what they did with this one, they selected, you can see there were multiple stems down here. They selected a single stem, PG hydrangea, and all the hydrangeas in the PG family, which are not in the Macrophylla family, flower on current year's growth. So as you can see, these are the flower buds from last year. So you get new growth. This is all new growth from last year. And then right about August, they stop growing and they make a flower. So that pretty much terminates your terminal bud. And that's oftentimes what determines how high this stem is. So they go back through the field the next year and they remove everything. This stuff, like I said, should never have been allowed to get this big. So they remove everything from here down. So you can see the difference between these 2 trees. This one, from the ground to where the branches break, is only about 18 inches. This one, from the ground to where the branches break, is probably pretty close to 36 inches. Personal preference. I used to work at a bare root nursery, and we used to do about 25,000 of these a year. A couple of years later, they were up to 100,000 a year, so they truly sell. And we would, you know, we would dig all the plants in November and then put them in a barn and sort them, and that's what we would do. We would sort them time in bundles of 10. One of the things that we did is we matched up stem length, I guess, just so it looked good in the bundle, or whatever the customer got, everything pretty much looked uniform. So now here's another thing that I want to show you, if Finnegan will step out of the way. You can see where this plant was pruned. You're interrupting our movie, and don't eat my plant. All right, so this plant was pruned here, here, and here. So you can see that before it was pruned, it really had, don't eat the tree, it really had 3 branches. Stop. Yeah, it had 3 main branches. So what they did is they went through and they trimmed it. And you could see the multiple branch breaks that they got after they trimmed it. The same with this one here. This one was pruned, really it was pruned right here, 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 here. So what they did is they pruned this thing into just a ball, and then it flushed out and you got a decent head on it. So again, if this were my tree in my landscape, I would go through and I would tighten it up just a little bit and cut this off so you get a nice full head on it. The other day at the auction, they had one that had a really nice big head on it. At wholesale at the auction, that thing brought $50. So that plant will retail for 90 bucks or $100 somewhere, maybe more than that, maybe $150. It truly was a pretty nice looking plant. So these are tree hydrangeas, hot seller. I need to go through and clean these things up a little bit. When they dug them, they made the balls a little too big. The balls are loose, so we got a little bit of work to do on these. I will try and clean this up, but this should never, like I said, should never have been allowed to happen. So anyway, to real quick recap, you can take a single stem shrub like this or multi-stem. A lot of times you'll have a shrub that's going out like this with 4 or 5 branches. So you're going to look at it and you're going to pick the one that you think you can get pulled straight up and then stake it to a bamboo. There's a lot of different ways to try to tie trees to a stake, but one of the simplest ways is duct tape, just like a single wrap of duct tape. What I found is that after a year, the sun dries the glue and the duct tape will pretty much fall off. If you use something like electrical tape, like plastic electrical tape, that may stay on there for years and girdle the tree. So you got to be real careful about that. But anyway, so you're going to train it upright. You're going to take this branch. You got 2 buds right here. You're going to select one of those and keep until you get up about this high, and then you can cut the top off and right where you cut the top, that's where you're going to get the multiple break, like here. This is where the top was cut. You can see where the branches broke, and then eventually everything from here down is moved. This one probably terminated itself with a flower bud, which is why they accepted that and let the stem grow from here. And again, you got a head from here. So anyway, I hope that covers it. You know, I'll put some pictures on the blog, and if you have questions, you can post them there. So I'm Mike McGroarty from Mike's Backyard Nursery.com and freeplants.com.